Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm Fabian for Liberty, Fabian Calvo. Remember, you could check me out at fabianforliberty.com and fabiancalvo.me. Now, just wanted to real quick before I get into the link, in my opinion. What's the link between the Fed taper, record amount of banker suicides, now 12, the New York Post, just an article from, I think, Monday. It was at 8, or they covered 8 banksters there. That had committed suicide. What's the link between that, the Fed taper, and the situation in Ukraine? Potential World War III happening, but not the way you think it'll go down. Because I think there's a connection, as I've said for some time. All of these events are connected. Now, just want to real quick, though, just say the audience in the last 30 days has grown really, probably it's been the biggest growth I've had in my audience. Over 4,000 new subscribers. Thousands and thousands of downloads of the podcast. Remember, the podcast is every single day, Monday through Friday, and you can check that out at fabianforliberty.com. Today I'll be covering the topics that I'm talking about now, but I'm able to talk about them for a little bit longer. The podcast is 30 minutes, and you can listen to it at your time. But also, I just want to tell all the new listeners that I'm not just about presenting and giving accurate reporting and truth just through my own research, my crew's own research, or the high-level contacts I've made by operating my private equity firm on Wall Street that basically give me a lot of this intel. I'm not just about that. I'm about also giving people solutions to the problems that I'm talking about. Real solutions based on specialized knowledge that I personally have implemented in my life that's made a difference. And so, again, that could be for you, it could not be for you. I don't really care about that. What I do care about is that I don't just sit here and talk about all the problems of the world and what they mean, but that I'm also telling people, look, these are the problems, it's the reality we face, but here are real time-tested solutions that you can begin to implement in your own life to prepare or at least try to shield yourself from the chaos that's happening. Now, there's hundreds of different opinions on this, how bad the events will get, what have you, but let me tell you this. I've known people since 2008 who have literally had this bunker mentality of it's an economic collapse, the world's coming to an end, and it's now 2014. 6 years have passed. What have they done? In 6 years, I've built multiple businesses. And it's not even a question about the multiple businesses or the money that's made. It's about the freedom and the self-reliance. And so, anyways, that's what I'm committed to. That's why I say my channel is Education, Enlightenment, and Entrepreneurship. And of course, you can check out, if you're interested in becoming a real estate investor, resourcefulrealestateacademy.com, or my new product that I just released, resourcefulentrepreneuracademy.com, which is, I understand the real estate thing might not be for everybody, but resourcefulentrepreneuracademy.com should be for everyone who wants to break free of the JOP paradigm and start to make a living doing what they love to do. Okay, so enough about that. So the New York Post comes out with an article, I'll post it down below, about the string of banker suicides and how it has top experts puzzled because many of the deaths, not just shooting themselves multiple times with a nail gun, but a majority of the deaths have been people jumping from high platforms, including some women, younger men, whatever. And this particular suicide expert was saying, yeah, that's pretty much a rarity that people commit themselves in such a public demonstration. So, of course, these people aren't committing suicide. Back in February 13th, I posted a video based on intel that I was getting, and it's not like they factually know this is happening. This is the consent of, or not the consent, this is the consensus of a lot of the contacts that I have in Wall Street, in private equities and what have you, that these people are being literally murdered, killed by a death squad, going around, working at the behest of the globalist, preventing and killing any potential economic Edward Snowden from coming forward and basically saying, look, the US and the Western financial system is a complete fraud. Here's how, here's why, here's all the emails, all the documents, okay? That, ladies and gentlemen, would cripple the economic system, okay? Because especially at a time right now where there's all this uncertainty and a lot of these countries, emerging markets around the world, and the reason why you see the select tapering happening, which is the next thing I wanted to cover with Janet Yellen, really what they're doing is they've stopped. The taper was going to all kinds of emerging countries. They've selectively said, we're not going to give to you, you, or you. In hopes, and now some of those countries will say, well, crap, okay, we can invest in our country now, let's back and invest in America. Let's buy treasuries, let's do whatever. Now, what's the link? Well, the link between the banker suicides in the Fed and Ukraine, here's what I think. There's a great book out there. It's called Secret Weapon. I believe it's Secret Weapons by a guy named Kevin Freeman. I read it maybe 3 years ago. Wonderful book about the 2008 financial crash. He was hired by the Pentagon to research the 2008 financial crash, and he came to the conclusion that the collapse of Wall Street and Bear Stearns and all these was caused by an artificially created panic, and basically this bear raid on these companies by the Russians and the Chinese who wanted to team up and see the dollar crash. Okay? Now, you don't even need to take my word for it. You don't need to take Kevin Freeman's word for it. Just take the Chinese and Russians' words for it. Because they talk about this all the time. Their own economists, check out the Moscow Times. Check out the Chinese state media in English. You'll hear it. If you have friends or that speak Russian or Chinese, have them interpret the media piece. I mean, you know what would be a great idea, a great blog out there for somebody who wants to start this idea, I'm just throwing this out there, would be just interpreting Chinese, Russian, German, or European articles, media, into English so that people can read it. Because I'll tell you, it's blockbuster, ladies and gentlemen, when you have all of these countries openly calling for a new financial system. So let's just kind of review here. Top bankers that are being killed because the system doesn't want them to come forward and reveal the fraud that is the financial system. Janet Yellen is now tapering. Think about that. The market's crashed or is crashing. Dow's not taking the news right. That's all manipulated as well. She's tapering because she's saying interest rates are going to be kept low. Now, how are they going to keep interest rates low if the Fed isn't artificially buying bonds to keep them low? Question one that's never asked or answered. More importantly, though, does anyone within the sound of my voice think the economy is strong enough to take over? And I mean, the only thing keeping it up is the phony monopoly money being created by the Fed. You think the Russians know this? You think the Chinese know this? Of course they do. And this is why I said on the podcast yesterday and been saying all week, the sanctions against the Russians that they're laughing at, supposedly now they're coming back with harder sanctions, the West is, can very much backfire. Because for me, if I'm Putin, if I'm Russia, if I'm China, particularly the Russians though, I'm saying this is our opportunity to now turn it on them and really rally and make the case for a new world reserve currency. And ladies and gentlemen, that would be the start of World War III. That would be, Obama yesterday says, oh, we're not going to have military invasion in Ukraine. We're not going to take this to the military, to the military level. Well, yeah, we heard that from Woodrow Wilson, who said, we're not going to get into World War I. But whether you believe Obama or not, and I don't believe anything he says, the point is that even Obama's not the one who's declaring war against Russia or sending troops into Ukraine. No, it's the banksters that do. Case in point, and history shows this, is in World War I, Wilson, who I think a lot of people would believe that he did want to remain neutral, but he couldn't remain neutral because J.P. Morgan eventually pretty much coerced him into allow U.S. banks, particularly J.P. Morgan, to make billions of dollars of loans to the Allies. Eventually what happens? Well, J.P. Morgan involved in a spectacular false flag terror attack of the sinking of the Lusitania, which was loaded with armed contraband weapons going to the Allies. The Germans sunk it. J.P. Morgan owned or had an interest in the shipping line that was sunk. Okay, he knew it was going to happen. The Germans were running classified ads in the New York Times at the time saying, hey, don't get on these ships because we're going to sink them, we're at war. So J.P. Morgan stages this because at that time the Germans were kind of winning the war. And these were unsecured lines of credit to the Allies in the billions of dollars. He was going to lose all that money. So, of course, he needed to get the U.S. involved. Now, look at Ukraine. Western banks hold 60% of their reserves in dollars. If Putin challenges that system, that means economic destruction for the West. Not to mention China and Russia and pretty much every country would go through tough economic times. But would they have it in them to rebuild? I believe they would. I mean, everybody would rebuild, right? Or get used to the new normal. But I think the Chinese, particularly the Russians, see this as a potential legacy point here. And keep in mind, look, Putin is a former KGB guy. His inner circle, they hate Americans. They hate the American system. And make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, that has not changed. So what do you think? What do you think about the connection of banker suicides, Fed taper, and potential World War III in Ukraine? I'm Fabian for Liberty, Fabian Calvo. Again, check me out, fabiancalvo.me or fabianforliberty.com. It's pretty much your last chance to get tickets to my seminar Saturday. Info's down below for my all-day training event on the Resourceful Real Estate Academy in New York City. Going to be busting some videos from there as well. Really excited about that. Thank you so much for watching. And I want to do a special thanks to all of you that have been watching my videos now for years. I know I recognize some of you in the comment boxes that have been literally commenting when I had like 20 subscribers. And I thought it was cool. Oh my God, I got 100 video views. I couldn't believe it. So I want to thank all of you. It really means a lot that you've been sticking with me, watching my videos, sharing my work. Thank you so much. I'm Fabian Calvo. Thanks for watching. I'm out.